to the candidates. Our first speaker this morning is going to be Darcie Green, and Darcie currently works as the Community and Government Relations Manager for Kaiser Permanente in Santa Clara. She serves as a liaison between the community groups and public policy makers. So it's very appropriate that she opens this morning. In addition to that, she is actually an elected official herself. She's a champion for improving the quality of life for underrepresented families. She worked in the office of former Assembly Member Joe Cotto, where she helped address public policy issues affecting Santa Clara County, with a particular emphasis on providing disenfranchised communities access. Access to what? Access to healthcare choices, quality education, and she has served on more than a dozen nonprofit boards. She is one of the youngest county board of education members in California. And my understanding is she's the first Latino and Latina, that's like dual duty there, to serve in her current position today. She is a former alum of the Rock Union Elementary School Board trustee. She's Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits Board of Directors, Somas Mayfair Board of Directors. Am I saying alum right? It is alum, right?
I was the trustee of the Alum Rock Union.
Alum, okay, so it's alum. I didn't think I was getting that right, guys. Never be afraid to ask the question, right? She was Silicon Valley Latino 40 under 40. That's not surprising, right? When you look at her list of accomplishments that she's achieved. And she's on the list of people to watch. So we gotta keep an eye on her, because I don't doubt it's gonna be soon that she'll be here in Sacramento. I'd like to welcome her. Please join me.
One of the things I have to get used to is when someone reads your bio, you can't just start hiding in your jacket or wanting to leave. So ladies, get used to that, right? It's okay to have accomplishments. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm so grateful to be here with you in Sacramento. I came this morning from Santa Clara County. Have everybody been to Santa Clara County? It's great, it's beautiful. Next to Sacramento, I would say it's the best place in the world. If I were in Santa Clara County, I would be saying that Santa Clara County was the best place in the world. But I enjoy being there. I'm a East San Jose native. My parents were born in San Jose. My father is Choctaw Nation. My mother is Mexican. And San Jose, Santa Clara County is a great, wonderful, beautiful place. And just recently, we were deemed, now I have to check to make sure this is okay. I know this is on your YouTube channel, so if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But we just found out that we are the first county to be, or the city of San Jose, to be of no one majority ethnicity. So we have so many different cultures and languages and identities in Santa Clara County, and that's what makes us very special. However, we know that simply having cultures and identity and diversity in your community doesn't always translate to good policy making, right? Simply having percentages of people who look like us or like others represented in your community, living and breathing and attending our schools and driving on our streets and using city amenities doesn't always translate into public policy or elected officials who reflect the diversity of the communities that they serve. Now, I had a speech prepared. And Julio, thank you so much for inviting me to be, Julio, thank you for inviting me to be here today. And I had a speech prepared, and I've been working on it throughout the month because I didn't want to embarrass Julio, because he brought me out here and embarrassed me in front of all his friends by giving a terrible speech. So I had been practicing my speech. And last night, I decided to change my speech. And the reason I threw my old speech out and brought this new speech in was because something is happening right now in Santa Clara County. And most around the country would say, you're the Bay Area, you're Silicon Valley, you're no one majority ethnicity. That's the most progressive place on the planet. You're 45 minutes south of San Francisco, 45 minutes north of Santa Cruz. You all must have it made down there. You know, and it's true, we do enjoy much diversity. But I'm going to start my speech off by telling you a little bit about what's happening right now in the city of Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill about 30% Latino. This particular high school I'm going to talk about right now is about 45% Latino. Morgan Hill went through a controversy about 4 years ago, 2010. A high school named Live Oak High School on Cinco de Mayo experienced a great controversy. So what happened, and I'm going to start with this story because I'm sure you'll hear plenty of data and statistics, and I will have some of that in my speech. But I'm going to start with this story because to me this story represents why we cannot continue to be asleep at the wheel when it comes to voting and putting into office not just anybody, but the people who are going to champion the issues of our community. And as was mentioned earlier, the people who once they get elected by us will turn around and remember who elected them and the communities that put them there. On Cinco de Mayo of 2010, in Morgan Hill, Live Oak High School, 5 students showed up that day to participate in the activities and ongoings of Cinco de Mayo, a joyous day on most school campuses. How many of you have been to some kind of Cinco de Mayo celebration? This is a happy day for people celebrating culture. Whether or not they know what that day means is another discussion, but people are there to celebrate the diversity that makes our state beautiful. 5 students showed up that day wearing American flag shirts, American flag shorts, American flag shoes. Showed up that day with the intent and with the purpose of protesting Cinco de Mayo. They walked around the school, maybe even taunted some of the Hispanic students, as they called them. I personally identify with Latino. They were there that day to cause a little bit of a ruckus. So the administration, similarly to schools that aren't allowed to wear gang colors, right, red or blue, there's some things that are banned at school because they pose a danger to students, a danger to the well-being and health and the common good of that campus. The administrator asked the students to turn their shirts inside out because it was causing hostility on the campus. And because of this very clear racial divide that was happening that day, they felt like if you turned your shirt inside out or took it off, then maybe we could start to calm some of that. The students refused, so they were sent home. Well, their parents were very, very upset with this, so the parents sued the school. A judge in San Francisco, a federal judge who heard the case, sided with the district, saying that they were absolutely in the right to protect the health and well-being of all of the students on that campus by asking the students to turn their shirts inside out or take them off or change them or whatever it may be. They weren't suspended or anything, but they were sent home because they were causing a disturbance. So that was appealed. It was appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And last month, that court sided with the district, saying that they were absolutely in the right to protect the health and well-being of these students. So in response to this appeal having been heard, it was heard once, it was decided on by the district, then heard by a federal judge in San Francisco, and then heard by the Court of Appeal, a group of people in Morgan Hill called the Patriots of Morgan Hill. Are you familiar with the Patriots? National Group of Patriots? Well, it's kind of what it sounds like. They are holding an American flag rally in front of the high school during the hour that the students get to school in protest of the decision from the Court of Appeals. Now please tell me that the thought of students on Cinco de Mayo having to walk through or around or by a group of people who, this is an assumption, I will be there that day to find out for myself, who probably don't look like them, maybe won't identify with their life experiences, standing between them and their ability to get to class, waving American flags as they say they will peacefully with smiles, that is going to be what gets in the way of students getting dropped off from school and getting to their classrooms. On Cinco de Mayo, the day that we celebrate diversity, the day that we celebrate one particular culture. Please tell me that that gives you the same gut-churning feeling that I have. Just nod your head for me if you're feeling the same kind of fire that I'm feeling. So that's what we're dealing with right now. They've actually, that group reached out to the National Patriots and some other radio stations that have just been saying, and I listened to the podcast as I was driving here because I wanted to make sure I was just good and energized to hear about their national figures saying that if Mexicans don't like that American flag waving and their freedom of speech on Cinco de Mayo, then they should just go back to Mexico. Even though the majority of students who are at Live Oak were born here in this country. So I don't quite know exactly what that means. So why do I tell you this story? Clearly I'm a little affected by it. As a school board member, certainly those are our babies who go to school every day. We don't want them to see that kind of hate activity. But why do I tell you that story? The reason I tell you this story is because of the interactions with the levels of government that have had to deal with this issue. The local school board for the city of Morgan Hill, the city council for the city of Morgan Hill, the superintendent who is appointed, hired by the local school district, the police chief who was hired by the city council, the county supervisor's office. Was that my time? Am I up? The county, please give me like a 5 minutes so I know. The county superintendent, the county supervisor who was elected in that area. All of these people have been engaged to get involved. And so far, and I'm not pointing any fingers at these elected officials, and I know that they serve for the same purpose that I do, and that's to make the world a better place. Nobody goes into public service to do harm, I can tell you that. Maybe some people do, but I'm just going to assume that most people don't. I certainly don't. I'm going to assume that most people don't. All of these people have been engaged, and yet there's been no real public statement of diversity, unity, tolerance put out by any of these groups. In fact, a superintendent, who I think is a pretty nice guy actually, and does have a background in social justice. Maybe this quote was just taught at a weird point in his remarks to the press, and said that it would be okay for students to wear any shirts they would like on that day and that would be accepted, which should be okay. Students should be able to wear what they want to school, but inviting that, knowing what a controversy it has been, is a little weird to me. So the point being that that city has suffered from years and years and years of what some might consider institutionalized racism, and that city is a city surrounded by agricultural workers, farm workers, it is produce workers. This is a city full of families who have already been disenfranchised by the system, and here it is happening again, of all different ethnicities, not just Mexican. So the point of the story is, who we put into office matters. The people making the decisions over what to do about this rally, by the way, they've also encouraged a group of bikers who will be coming, I guess, and they're organized motorcycle, bikers who will be coming and joining in the rally, this peaceful rally that has the potential to spark violence in front of our high school. The people who make the decisions about what to do about these kinds of issues happening today. This isn't Alabama, this isn't Texas, this isn't somewhere in another country. This is happening right here, 2 hours south of where we're standing, today, to students in Silicon Valley. Who we elect to make these decisions, to watch over our children, to take care of our citizens, residents, that matters. And the reality is that we're not taking advantage of the potential of our numbers. Anyone know what happened last month? What kind of cool thing happened last month? What?
Farm worker guy with cattle.
Okay, well that's true. That's not cool though, that Nevada farm worker guy with cattle. He said some racist things and that certainly was cool, but that is one thing that happened. But what happened last month? Latinos became the majority in California at 39%. 14.5 million people in California. We became the majority. In 2012, there were 53 million Latinos in the U.S., according to a report by The Guardian. That is 17% of the population. But we accounted for only 10.8% of eligible voters and 8.4% of actual voters. Pardon me for reading this, I didn't want to get it wrong. Half of those voters came from Texas and California, although we are neither of those states are states that swing elections. Research says that our population will double in the next 16 years. And already, as we know, 1 of every 2 youths under the age of 18 is a Latino in California. So we are the majority. We don't have to accept the world the way it is. If we voted in numbers reflective of our population and our inherent brilliance and resilience, the world would be much, much different. Regardless of your partisanship. This is not a partisan issue, right? This is not about politics. This is about us voting for the values that we all share and making sure that the people we elect champion those values as well. So yes, Latinos, those of us in this room, we should be proud that we are the majority in California. That's the first time, by the way, that that's happened since like 1850 when California became a state. So we should be proud of that. But we have work to do. And that should be inspiring. The kick that we need to know that we have everything we need to build the world we want to see. Now tell me, what's happening in Morgan Hill, is that the world you want to leave to your sons and your daughters? Is it? No. I vote and I serve in public office because it's not the world I want to leave to my sons and my daughters. I want to leave a world of tolerance, appreciation of diversity, one that truly all of our sons and daughters will be able to achieve their highest potential. And we know that we can do that based on our numbers. I want to leave you with one of my favorite Cesar Chavez quotes. And it may not be the one that is most popular for this topic, but this is the one I think is fitting. The fight is never about grapes or lettuce. It is always about people, Cesar Chavez. Voting is not about the specific issues. It's not about our partisan politics. It's not about the things that divide us. Voting is about the things that unite us. Voting is about democracy. Voting is about equal representation. Voting is about having your voice heard. So the next time you're at a family barbecue, you're at a meeting, and you hear someone saying that they can vote but they're just not going to, or they might register but they don't really feel like it because their vote doesn't count, and what's happening in the national level is so confusing and overwhelming, I don't even want to get involved. Tell them about what's happening in Morgan Hill, where school board members win by 1 vote. Their vote matters, and it makes a difference. And I'm looking forward to joining you in this fight. And I thank you very much for having me here today. And I'm appreciative of the fact that you are educating people about who's running for office in your community and why it matters to vote for them. Thank you so much, and I wish you a great rest of the day.